Well, hey there. Welcome back to Richard's Toy Room. Got a fun one here for you today. We've got the 1964 Ideal Toys Crazy Clock game. Now, it may look sort of familiar to you if you've ever seen the game Mousetrap. Now, Mousetrap came out before this game. There was also another game that was inspired by Mousetrap and the success of this game called Fish Bait. Although I have heard that it's a little bit troublesome. This is sort of along the same lines as Mousetrap, where you have all these weird little inventions that basically the whole premise is this guy here needs to wake up. And instead of using an alarm clock like a normal person, he has this here a weird alarm clock that with the punching bag that punches the broom, that hits the cat in the butt, that knocks a ball of yarn down these stairs, that opens this door, that hits this, blah blah blah, and on, until finally he jumps out of the bed. So I discovered this game during one of my eBay surfing moods, and that tends to be how I buy certain things, especially if I've never heard of them. They look interesting. I look them up. I look up other videos on YouTube. I look up websites that talk about old toys and stuff like that. And this looked really fun, and it's right up my alley. And it's right from around the time that I was born. So this game is complete. When I first got it, it was missing one piece, and that was this spring on here. And you miss any piece in here at all, or if it's broken or it doesn't function, it won't work. I mean, you need every single piece in here in order for this thing to work. And that was the only piece that was missing from this. So I found another set on eBay that was just a bunch of miscellaneous pieces, didn't have the box or anything like that. But it did have one other part that I was missing, which was the instruction sheet, and I didn't realize I was also missing one card from the deck of cards. This is complete. I'm going to set it up, demonstrate it, and I'm sure it'll work. I even got it to work up to this point, and then I manually dropped the ball and did the rest, so I know it will work. It's just, it's really cool. It runs really fast, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it together, show you all the pieces, and then I'm going to run it from the wide view, and then I'm going to zoom in on each function so you can see how each one of these little tricks work. And hopefully my video skills will pay off and it will be interesting. So without further ado, let me get this emptied out, get all the pieces here so you can see what's in the box, and we'll take it from there. Oh, one other thing before I forget. I'll show you this real quick. Way down here it says, catch the Ideal Magilla Gorilla Show every week on TV. I thought that was kind of neat. Okay, so here's with the box lid off. Now, the instructions, the ones I got, were a little fragile. They're starting to split apart at the seams, so I took them and I put them inside a little piece of plastic here just to preserve them as best as I could. And it pretty much tells you how to play the game, which I wasn't completely aware of at the time. I'm not going to actually do a round of playing the game because A, I'm by myself, and B, it would probably just take too long. But you're supposed to shuffle the cards and hand them out, and then there's like a routine that you go through where whoever has number one card starts the game by putting part number one, on the table. There is no board that comes with it. It sits on a flat surface, unlike Mousetrap, which has its own board. But anyway, and then you take turns, drawing cards from player to your left, blah blah blah, until it gets to the last card, which then that person gets to wind the clock, which sets everything into motion. And on the back it has some helpful hints. It tells you, how to set things into their ideal position to make it work right. So anyway, that's the instruction sheet that comes with it. Oops. So I also repaired this little blue tray. It's a really fragile kind of blow molded tray that holds just a few oddball parts for some reason. I don't know why. So it has the marbles. One of them's steel, and then there's 2 glass marbles. Here's the cat. Here's the little alarm clock. Here's the deck of cards. This is the pool table, and this is the guy that jumps out of the bed, and this is the door. Like I said, just random parts. And then you have this die cut cover here. I put all the parts under here. I'm assuming that's where they're supposed to be, but it just gives a little bit of action ideas for the game. So I will show you the cards because we're not really going to use them too much in this video. But basically, it starts out like this. You got number 1, put this base down. Number 2, do the alarm clock. 3, it tells you how to. There's 25 or 26 cards, as you can see. You can fast forward through this if it's boring, but somebody may want to see them, so I will show them. I could see this being really fun if I was a kid playing this. I mean, I actually enjoyed it as an adult, so I'm sure it would have been a lot of fun as a kid. And to be honest with you, I always wanted Mousetrap when I was a kid. I think I asked for it like every Christmas, every birthday. Never, ever, ever got it. In fact, I didn't even know anybody that had it when I was a kid. But I always wanted it. And I finally actually did pick up a more modern version, which is pretty much the same. There's just a couple of different things with it. Here's the key that you turn at the end, and this is the card that the person gets when it's their turn to turn the key, and that's all the cards. Now we will take all these parts out and lay them out here off to the side, and then we will start putting this thing together. Well, here's all the pieces kind of laid out here off to the side. Right, so we're going to build it like about right here. Let's get started. So number 1 is this piece here. It's the base. Put it about right. I think that'll work. Right there. So I'm actually going through the cards. It's just easier to do it that way. Number 2, they want you to put the alarm clock into the base. So here's the alarm clock. Slides into there. 3 is the broom. Put the broom into the base. Now another thing that I noticed with the 2 sets, sort of 2 sets if you want to call it 2 sets that I got, is the pieces, while of a little different hue, like the blue was a little darker or lighter, I can't remember which one was which. One was lighter and one was darker. I didn't really notice any difference in the yellow or the red, but some of the stamped letters on the pieces were also different. So what they did was at one point they modified or improved probably issues from the original version of this game. Perhaps things weren't working exactly right, but my theory, on just based on some of the changes that I saw, was kids were probably breaking these pieces when they would take it apart to put it back in the box, and so I think they made them fit a little looser, because some of them I noticed on the other set they fit a lot tighter in the slots and in the little pegs and stuff, and I would bet anything, since this is like a styrene type plastic, you know, if you press fit those things and you try to pull them apart, they're tight, they'll break. So I'll bet you there was a lot of complaints that parts were breaking on this, and they modified the design on them. But I kept all the ones from the set I had because they all matched. The color shades were different on the other set. And luckily all I really needed was that spring from the other set anyway, so that didn't really matter. So step 4 is the window ladder. That is this. Step 5, staircase. Okay, that's here. This does get a little tricky at some points. The cat I found to be the oddest part on here because it seems to want to fall out of here easily, but the cat goes about like that. The base for the staircase, that's over here. Like for example on the staircase, the other one had a little lip on the bottom of the staircase that fit real tight into the bottom here, and it was really tight when I was checking it on the other one. In fact, that staircase was cracked on that other set, so I'm guessing that was probably the early version, and this is probably the second version. Door frame and door pins. Here's the door and the frame. That goes in here. Close the door. There we go. All right. Next one is the tree trunk. Odd thing was another thing that I noticed. This part and the part that the spring goes on were missing out of that extra set that I got. Oddly, the spring was missing out of my set. You'd think that if those two pieces were missing, that spring would be missing too, but luckily, I mean, it's just the way it worked out for me anyway. This goes under here. And here's the part I was talking about, the busy pole with the spring. Go over here and grab this. Oh no, it goes this way. Okay. Now one thing I did notice when I was testing it, now I don't know if they actually did change the spring on this game too, but the bird wants to pop off the top of the nest when you do it. I can't figure out a way to keep the bird from popping off, but I just look at it as, hey, the bird got knocked up in its butt to drop its egg and it flew away. So you can look at it that way. I don't think it's actually supposed to pop completely out of there, but it doesn't matter. Next part is the golf club. That's here. It just goes on here. Long johns, and then they want you to push the long johns down and lock them onto the spring. Right, so long johns go on like this. Push them down, and you'll lock the golf club onto them. Then the bird with the nest. And let's see, bird, nest, goes up here. Oops. It's almost idiot proof too, because parts usually only go on one way. So there we go, bird in the nest. And let's see, the bucket is here. Bucket goes this way, I believe. Yeah, that should be right. I think. I hope. And let's see, the fence rail. Let's see, fence rail goes here. And the umbrella goes on here. Should be right. Okay, now they want this other base and put the slot of the rail into that. That is base C. What's this one? Okey-doke. Step 17. Okay, they want the T and the rain gutter into tree trunk base. So where'd the T go? There it is. Okay, the T goes here. Oops. Rain gutter base goes here over to here. So there. Got that, good, okay. Next base, locks from this way. Here. There we go. Didn't realize that pivoted there. Okay, so now we got the pool table. This was the only thing I noticed that kind of had an issue with when I was checking it out before I had the spring. This pool table seemed to want to move. See how this seems to tilt a little, see what I mean? Leave it like that. So anyway, what's next? The candle and signpost. We're getting close. So that goes here. Bed and the mattress. So we can put these legs in. They only go one way. Bed, again, will only go one way because the little hooks are of different sizes. All right. Another thing I noticed on the other one, the spring was way bigger on that other set, which again I think was, and the early first version, it was really hard to get the little man to stay down on the bed. The spring was so powerful. But I know this one works because I've played with it. But you put the man on and then you just kind of tuck him under there like that. All right. Now the feet. You'd think it would go this way since the feet look like they're walking that way when they go down the thing, but they want you to put it on this way for some reason, which is odd. And you put this little tab underneath the umbrella holds it. Here. All right. Okay, next step is we got to put the balls on. So the glass marble and the glass marble, one goes on the T, one goes under the cat's paw, and then the steel ball goes underneath the bird's nest. And then the last step is put the key in the alarm clock, and then you wind it. Sometimes this causes issues if you drop it by mistake while you're trying to get it all set up. You set everything into motion and mess it all up. Alright, so that should work. Key. Okay, now we're going to attempt to put it through test number 1. Hopefully this will work. Key in, turn it, on the back you turn it clockwise, but it's turning counterclockwise on the front. There it goes. So far so good. Really? See if maybe a spring is stuck or something. Maybe it's too tight. Let's try that. Let's see now if it'll work. Really? Well, that's the idea. Okay, don't mind the handheld. I'm going to try to get you a good view of how this actually works step by step. So the first step here is that key. So you turn the key this way, which in turn, you can see turns that. It's going to pull back that, which hits this broom when it finally goes all the way through, which is going to whack the cat up here. And there you go. Okay, so I got it all set back up again. I found quite a few issues with it as I was trying to attempt to show every single function up close. For one, as you could probably see, the bird and the nest kept popping off because this spring seems to be really powerful. And it was knocking the bucket off and just all kinds of issues, and it all seemed to stem around here. The marble, I thought maybe the marble it came with, this is the marble I got with my set, and then I got the steel marble and it was missing one. So I don't know if those were original, if any of them were original. I got these two marbles with the replacement parts that I bought to get that spring. There was two of these identical, and then there was this one, which is shiny like steel, but it's glass. So, not sure what the deal is with that. I don't know if this is an original one or if the steel one that I have is the original one, because that actually is steel and this is not. This is glass. But anyway, this is supposed to represent a golf ball, so I thought the white one would work good, but then it didn't seem like it wanted to hit that golf club enough to let loose these long johns to go up the pole to hit the bird. So I went and grabbed this other marble, and it didn't seem to be have much effect. I thought that marble was maybe a little heavier. I don't think it matters. Right now I just leave it in there. I might throw the white one back in with the set. Maybe I'll just keep all 5. I don't know. Anyway, if I notice that I can make it work pretty much every time if I just barely notch the top of this golf club onto the thing, so it doesn't take much effort to, when the marble comes down, it doesn't need a lot of oomph to let that loose. So everything else seems to work fine except this one little section in the middle for some reason, which, go figure. Everything else, almost every time, functions perfectly. But, you know, like they do say in the directions, when it's your turn to wind the clock, if it doesn't make the guy pop out of the bed, you don't win. And you have to reset everything up, and the next guy gets to try, or however the directions set it. So I guess it's not foolproof. There is times where it won't work. I remember one time I was playing with it and this thing got jammed halfway down. So I mean, that would be an error. It would not complete the function. So, you know, I guess, you know, like I said, there's so many things to go wrong here that it's not impossible. But I'm going to try to shoot it from this angle here and let you get one more shot of it working before we end this video. So let's hope it works. Perfect. Hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you come back for more. Subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll see you again.